Okay, so now we can determine we have a quorum.
We do.
We do. And is there approval for the minutes from October 21st?
Before we do that, just as a, like a
Okay,
housekeeping order thing, since you're going to be acting chair tonight, let's appoint an acting secretary.
oh, okay,
And then we'll get to the rest of the agenda.
okay.
Whoever wants to be an acting secretary.
Oh, I'll act.
I don't know what to do, so otherwise I'll take.
I'm a good actor.
You basically just have to sign something at the end of the meeting. It's
Okay.
Okay.
all in favor, Warren.
Aye.
There we go.
Okay, so now,
I move that we approve the minutes from October 21st.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Vote.
Okay, any public comment for items not on the agenda? Nobody's here, nothing on there?
We haven't published the
Okay,
Zoom link. That's just for our recording.
items for discussion. Obstruction mitigation,
Well, good news is the contractor got the rest of the sod in, so hopefully next month we have all of our documentation put together to accept and close out this project. And
Yeah.
yay, okay,
FAA will be really happy because we have 2 grants out there that haven't had any activity on it for like a year because
they're
it's
waiting.
it's grass work.
Yeah.
Okay,
Um,
so next month, great. Then runway 725,
The 725 East End rehab, still on track. We're just, that bid's gonna happen in a couple of months. That cycle will start in a couple of months. We're still gonna have the same contractor working in the same timeline, so we're minimizing the closures of 725 when both the remarking and that rehab is going on, but that one wasn't as dire of a rebid situation as what the electrical work was. So we're just kind of bidding that in the normal DOT cycles that things get bid in.
so then the threshold relocation,
Tonight, we're starting the bid process. So what you have on the agenda, and I have the physical plans right here, plans and specs, if anybody wants to view them. We did make a couple of changes within the plans and specs. We do have as a bid alternate the entire runway being LED lights.
That's great.
Awesome.
That's really
Um,
great.
With the conversations with the FAA and with the city, and in terms of the climate action funds being most likely available if we need them.
Wonderful. So your memo worked, huh? Very good.
Conversations worked.
Yeah, very, very
Yes.
good. That's wonderful.
Yeah, I think it's prudent just to have them at minimum, have them as a bid alternate. We know what the pricing is, then we can go to, whoever needs to take a look at it. And maybe we get lucky, the FAA pays for it. And even if they back off and say, no, we can't do that, then we still have that option with the city. And I think we can get the whole runway done.
Good for the plan, good for our expenses.
Carl, is there anything else you wanted to mention? Otherwise,
No, I mean,
that was,
the signed version of plans and specs are there, and so.
Okay.
um,
And the plan
Prices
was,
since last spring, because of the price of pipe and cable and all that, prices have gone up.
Yeah.
But there's an updated cost estimate. That was just updated after contacting potential bidders just this week, so.
that you were gonna look into whether or not the heaters were important.
The heaters they're still really your call. On most of the places I'm doing it, they don't use them, but that's it. I did look at the energy savings costs, and the payback on the energy savings would be extremely long. So that's not the reason to do it. The reason to do it is if you're concerned with snow and ice for the days that the heaters actually, even though they do approximate the power usage of regular lights, they would not add enough energy cost over the year to justify not having them based on that amount.
Plus, we agree that we can turn them on and turn them off whenever we need to, right? The heater portion.
Well, the heaters are thermostatically controlled,
Okay.
so they, when it gets cold enough, they.
Okay, they kicked in by then. Oh, okay.
And they're only on when the lights are on? Do you know?
I believe they're only on, and that I have to admit, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm about 90% sure they're only on the lights.
Yeah, I believe that's correct.
Yeah, I guess it still would be nice to know what other airports' experience has been, whether, you know, the heaters.
Well, I do know from, at Waterloo, they had their first project they ever did, they use heaters. Ever since they have not. Des Moines has heaters on their primary runway because they can't, under any circumstances, have them not be able to be seen. But their cross-country runway and all their taxiways, they do not have.
And I think just that Waterloo had them when we did the taxiway. There hadn't been too many other airports at the time that had them, or had them long enough to kind of make the same decision we're talking about in terms of do we need them or not.
So our taxiway does
So we
have
had, our taxiway has the heated LED lights.
Well, what do you think, Matt?
I mean, if there was a way to even,
I mean, it's probably maybe a week and a half where, worth of storms that you might have to go out and clean off the lenses or have somebody.
Now,
So,
last year wasn't a good call because we just didn't have as much, deep snow, but
yeah,
a year ago, I put 200 and some taxiway lights without heaters at Ames, and they said they had no problems or winter, but we didn't have a bad night.
well, last year we had just, our biggest problem was less so that and more so the,
it was because we didn't have the right
we
snowplow
didn't have
blade.
snowplows. We had forest snow was up with the lights. And I mean, I don't know that it's hot enough to keep, I mean, it doesn't matter, our incandescent bulbs have the same problem.
Yeah,
So
I would think we could do without
we
them.
probably do without them.
Sounds like-
Right now, the specifications are written with them
Mhm.
and they're priced with them. But, I mean, it's something that we can wait and see, and then before this, and if you were sure you did want them, we can addend them out. But they right now have them on there.
If we were to need them in the future, can they be installed? Or they have to
I
be
believe
now,
They have to be, they're part of the fixture, so you have to replace them.
before?
Happen to move them from your taxiway to the runway.
Yeah. A bit of a confusion. I didn't know the runway lights were blue.
Well,
I thought they'd be there.
swap some lenses out, we'll be okay.
But that's nothing we need to decide right now.
Not directly. I mean,
I mean, if we're gonna decide that, I think we gotta just change.
I mean, yeah, if you want to decide that, just straight, we're not gonna have them, that's fine. If you want to leave it as it is, you're gonna get bids back that have lighting fixtures with thermostats and heater cores on them. I mean, it does probably add another 15% to the cost of the lights.
It's about $100 a light.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd say let's do with that.
so
It doesn't sound like we really need it.
I don't necessarily have a strong preference
Yeah.
either way from a maintenance or operational
And
standpoint.
certainly from the
So I
cost
guess,
of operation.
okay.
Can it be an alternate bid, or does that just makes it too confusing?
Can they make two bids, you mean?
Yeah, I guess that would make it too.
You want
I
to
mean,
just make a
I could add
second
an
add alternate
and just say,
for non-thermal?
Remove heaters from lights, and it's pretty light, and then later on, we don't have to decide till we get ready to order the equipment.
Okay.
Yeah. And then if there's a strong
Then by
cost
that-
factor.
I would at
then-
least like them to.
That would
Okay.
get us through another winter? Or part of a winter to see,
let's say, like on our taxiway, they're heated right now. Is there a way to shut them off for this winter to see?
No.
Is a problem? There's
No.
not. So they just are always
Yeah, that's what they're gonna be.
controlled. Okay.
but you can compare it to the runway.
Well, so the runway's
The
incandescent lights
runways are
now,
incandescent.
Oh, okay.
so there's never been a problem.
it's
So I
not-
don't-
They're,
yeah,
yeah, they're effectively.
They're
warm.
nice and hot.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's right, so then you don't, okay,
Right, so
I don't know. Just seems like an expense if you don't really need it, but
Well, and also an operating expense and energy
Yeah.
consumption.
I'm wondering if we should leave it as is until next meeting, so we have the full commission.
Well, we can change the add alternate so that it's both styles of
Let's
lights.
do that.
yeah, that would be
Okay.
And then
good.
when it's time to order, we.
And that
we
doesn't,
can final
that doesn't
decision.
change,
Yeah.
our bid process. Otherwise,
Okay,
I don't want to delay
right,
the
It
hearings. and,
doesn't change the other
No.
stuff. Okay, well, that's good.
You need a resolution now for the.
Yes,
Resolution?
please.
I move that we resolve to set a public hearing on December 9th, 2021 for the plan specifications, form of contract, and estimate on cost for the construction of the runway 25 threshold relocation project. Do I have a second?
I second.
You guys have a roll call vote?
That's going to be a roll call.
Okay,
Electra?
Aye.
Warren, aye.
Judy, aye. Okay,
Awesome.
unanimous. Then we'll sign that afterwards, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so South T hangar infrastructure,
South T hangar infrastructure. That is, so the South T hangar and the hangar A door, those are gonna stay on there for a while just because they're listed. We now have contracts and
Okay.
things, but otherwise, both of them, Carl and Bolton Mink are starting to put together some plans and specs and information to
okay.
do that. Those will be springtime projects.
So that'll be
But
spring.
now that they're kind of active things, they're gonna stay on the agenda.
Okay.
But you probably won't see much on them for a few months.
And the hangar A door replacement,
Same thing.
same thing,
Yep.
wait till spring. FY 23 pre-application.
So in the packet, depending on the quality of file you had, was the essentially our draft submittal for the FAA CIP program. FAA funds projects at 90%, but basically walking through it, it's again, these are all projects that are kind of coming straight from the master plan, but it is the continuation of stuff we've kind of talked about in the past. So the next major project would be the focus on 1230 to do the threshold relocation on the 12 end, add the concrete on the 30 end, and do those marking changes. And then following that up, we propose to, I should have these already in my head, pavement maintenance cycle. So basically crack sealing, kind of what we're doing already.
Mhm.
And then the other big one that's on that 5-year list is our apron expansion. And like everything, the FAA has formulas for how big of an apron we're supposed to have, and it's based on the highest activity on the busiest day, that kind of thing. But thanks to football games, we should have a fairly decent sized apron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Roughly about twice as big as the one we have now, I think.
Okay.
And we can use it often, even on.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And with the runway changes, I mean, we get airplanes now that come in and
Yeah.
a good half of our apron is useless because of the footprint of the airplane.
Right.
They're so big, yeah,
So
okay.
that's that. If there are any comments, if there's anything else in the master plan that the commission might have as a higher priority, we can certainly, typically the first couple of years of projects, the FAA is steadfast, like you can't change those. These are what we expect to have. So this is what you should have in your plan. And that's what we're funding things based on. But the years 3, 4, and 5, 3 gets a little goofy, but 4 and 5, if there's some outlier years or
Mhm.
even things after that we want to stack up from the master plan that might have a higher local priority. We just need to know about that to adapt. Otherwise, this has been submitted to the FAA. We already got comments back as far as Jeff thought they were at least feasible. They always give the caveat that they may or may not score well on discretionary funding. So we may have to build up our entitlement funds a couple of years to help supplement.
And the runway 1230 thing, is that part of this as well?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
And so the runway 1230, that's moving the threshold and then adding on the other end.
Yeah, so the 12 comes in closer to the airport by, I think it's 500 feet.
Yeah.
And then the 30 end, we actually only get 300 feet of concrete at the end there. So
3,900 and 3,700.
so it'll be like, actually the 30, if you use the full thing, you'll actually have like 4,200 feet
Oh,
of takeoff distance. Landing will still be the same. Landing will be 3,900. Because it's also going to turn into a displaced threshold.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
It just that threshold isn't moving from where it currently exists.
I see.
Just the pavement going on behind it becomes,
Okay.
that's how we get that displaced threshold.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So yeah, landing distance is 3,900 from the 3-0 end and 3,400 from the 12 end. And then takeoff, it's 42 and 30, 42 and 42, I think.
Did they do a plan on?
I'd have to pull it up.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that gives us, so airport operations management.
One of the things that we didn't get covered last month, and that's partially on me, but we kind of got overloaded with a lot of things. Throw that around since the file didn't quite have our pictures, but that was the original plan for the parking lot. The airport commission, and I know Scott is going to be a big stickler on this.
Yeah.
Has wanted to talk about a broader look or vision for the frontage area, if you will. The way I understand that conversation that everybody wants to have, it's more the green space, the frontage road doesn't necessarily impact these particular parking lots. So from my perspective, there's no reason why we can't go forward on the parking, which we've been talking about for almost 3 years, and get that done, while at the same time talking about the broader picture
It's not doing this part yet.
of how
Yeah.
the frontage is going to look. Because primarily the driveway is not going to change. It's going to be, okay, the trees are dying out. What are we going to do with the trees, the canopy, that kind of thing? And I've had a lot of comments of people over the years that they like the canopy look and feel of how those trees are. So my intent was basically when we do cut the trees down, we're going to figure out whatever breed of tree we need to
Put back
replace
up.
the canopy.
Yeah.
Okay. I know the fence line, because it's just open space that's fenced in. There's been conversations about just taking the fence and sliding it back to where the fence is kind of by the hangar buildings as opposed to the whole yard. I don't think that's an issue. That's something we can do. Obviously take some costs to change the fence around. There is a couple of utility lines we got to pay attention to near the buildings, but beyond that, I don't know that that's a super difficult lift, provided we have the funding for it. And then beyond that, it's whatever greenery, the airport commission wants to do, like along Riverside Drive or things like that. And we did a whole bunch for the 100-year event. I mean, kind of how it is how I expected it to be for a while. But if there's some different ideas that the airport commission has on that,
I have a question.
yeah.
How come we're not doing this side as well? So it will be like the 4 sides of the antenna.
Say that
All
again.
4 sides of the circle.
Well, part of it is spacing. Because we already
Add some in there.
mainly funding. That one is primarily funding. We don't have enough to do all 4
All the
corners.
stars. Okay.
Plus, it wouldn't be very convenient. You'd have to walk around the whole circle to get to the.
Yeah, it's at some point, we do lose the convenience factor of parking at the terminal. So,
Oh, okay.
I don't know, just have a walk.
have a sidewalk.
A path through the.
But at least.
So yeah, for right now,
That could be
it's
added
primarily
later.
funding.
Okay.
Funding,
We're tapping basically all of our
yeah.
cash we've got easily available for what we can do out here.
So what do we need to do to get that started?
Tell me to go ahead and keep doing it.
Okay.
You need a resolution.
No.
Okay.
I just need consensus that we are still going to continue the path of the parking
I
lot.
think
Next
that's
month,
clear. Yeah.
after talking with engineering, I think next month we'll have a draft layout from the engineering team.
Okay.
And I'll be bringing that to the commission so we can talk about, because I think based on the conversations I've had with them, I think we're going to look at more angled parking
Yeah,
as
that
opposed
makes
to the
sense.
straight in stuff
Yeah,
that's on
That's
the map.
easier, yeah.
Angled and circling it.
Yeah.
Clockwise.
One thing that, which I didn't get a chance, a guy from a rental car company stopped in, one of the major rental car companies stopped in the other day. and I had to, it wasn't planned, so I didn't get a chance to talk to very long. One thing he was talking about was that they're starting to work with airports and, people who give the rental cars a permit, with an interest in potentially putting in charging stations and
Okay.
facing cars there.
That would be great.
But like in this project, you've already got power there because the beacon, right? So like,
Yeah, there's power to the beacon, so
so you
there's
have
potential.
power if you were to do something in the middle without having to tear something up, right? Probably.
in theory,
The question is, whether it's enough amps. Those charging
How much is
stations.
going under there?
Yeah, the
and
Yeah.
charging
there's room
stations
to
need
pump
a
more
lot of
power.
amperage.
Anyway, I just figured I hadn't talked to you about it yet. Actually, I haven't talked to him about it yet. Continue conversation.
no,
But that would be something that would be added later.
yeah,
So
we could
it
easily
wouldn't
do that later.
Interfere with trying to actually just get the first parking in.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Well, they implied that they paid for that one.
I think what it is,
But it's coming to them.
it's a mutual trade-off, so they have guaranteed parking.
oh, okay.
And then they pay for your charging station or some type of branding on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I'm guessing is how it works. I don't know
And at that point
because,
in time, it'd be a conversation with the airport because, I think it's, at that point in time, they'd have some sort of a commercial sign there and stuff like that.
yeah,
Okay,
Mhm.
so,
but it wouldn't interfere with what we're doing right now.
no,
No, I don't think
That's
so.
I
future.
don't think so.
Yeah,
Okay,
we may have to have this conversation for our parking, just for ourselves in the not too distant future with cars.
And that was one of the things that the city manager's office asked about during our budget meeting, if we were considering anything like that.
It wouldn't be a bad idea to add a couple of charging stations.
Well, and at the conference I was at 2 weeks ago, one of the FBOs there, they had a charging station that was set up where it could reach both cars and planes for electric airplanes that are coming out, stuff like that. So I thought it was kind of interesting.
well, if you're charging though, couldn't you also just be charging off over the
Off the
off the end of the building over here?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
So, I mean, there's other places
there's multiple ways we could have charging
doesn't
stations
need
out.
to be in it right now.
Yeah.
So we can get the parking in as soon as
Yeah, the
possible.
only electric
Yeah.
plane I know of right now is that little pipistrel trainer thing.
And, I'd almost tell you to put the charging stations over here because it's gonna be a lot cleaner and the transformer is right there.
Yeah,
Yeah. that's
and
true.
on the other side of it, you could have the charging for planes.
That's,
You could,
yeah,
Yeah.
that would be.
That
would
would make
be a-
flight training really cheap. What I don't know is how long it takes to recharge one of those things.
I
I've
don't
looked
know.
for information that I couldn't find.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
Does this give you enough to keep going? And
Yep.
so
Nope,
now
I've
we can-
I've got
Yeah.
consensus to keep going with parking, so I'm good.
It's
So now-
unanimous. They want you to do
Oh,
it.
Please do. Okay, annual report.
That one I did not get into the packet. I just had a few things pop up on me that
Yeah.
just couldn't get to, but I did get your comments and stuff back, so I will have that together within the next week. I did not bring up the council schedule, but I believe the next council meetings are November 30th. And the only one they're having in December is, I
December
want to say
9th.
December 9th or 4th. Is that? Grab my calendar.
Should be 7th if it's,
7th.
Yeah.
I think it might be the 4th.
Is it the 14th? Yeah, because that'd be the second Tuesday. That makes more sense. But I do want to get that wrapped up and into the council packets, one of those, but I don't know what the schedule is for council packets for Thanksgiving week being next week, so I'll probably target the
December
December
one.
meeting just to be
Okay.
safe.
okay.
And we've talked about the frontage area and parking lot annual report. That's all I have.
Okay, art murals.
You want to share the news?
Yeah, we've been approved.
All right.
Oh, cool.
The November Public Art Advisory Committee meeting approved an allocation of $8,000 towards a mural project to be located at the airport. The visibility of the mural on the hangar buildings, as well as locating art in the area of Iowa City, that area of Iowa City that hasn't had much investment, made it a good project. We have some concerns. The budget was inadequate for
Yeah.
potentially such a large project, but it would be nice to springboard off for additional funding. They want to meet with us in person or via Zoom the week of November 22nd. To meet with Scott and
Excellent.
So I think if Judy, if you and Scott are willing to keep
Yeah.
the quote unquote subcommittee going,
Good work, that's awesome.
I think we put you guys in charge of it and
But we need new doors on the hangars first.
And then they are aware that that project
Yeah.
is something we're
Yes.
doing. So the focus for the first round of, and maybe Carl, this might be information that's good for you to know, will be the roadway facing side of doors. That way we can get those done and any art murals will not have to worry about having doors replaced and then
Yes,
near.
that's the real obvious one that they're caring the most about.
So the doors are funded and
The doors are funded.
Starting.
We've got
Yeah,
engineering services agreements for replacements, but that'll be like spring-ish.
got
I don't know that Carl and I have sat down and mapped out
We
a
haven't really
real,
sat
a real
down yet.
schedule for it, but we're gonna focus on making sure we get threshold stuff ready to go.
sure, yeah.
But yeah, we've got funding. We're good. I hope to get one side of the building done, but we'll see.
Sure. Okay, I see. I forgot.
the terminal sign, that's just sort of waiting.
Yeah, kind of the same thing. John asked if the team needed to come back down tonight, and I said with a shortened commission group, probably not. And John, Carl, and I are going to have a Zoom meeting on Monday to talk about some of their updated designs based on the conversation we did have. And then that'll give Carl some information to go take it to some of his architect side of folks to get some ballpark pricing for us and just see what we're looking at for a package.
So they could bring something to the December meeting then.
Yeah, I mean, if we want them back at the December meeting, I assume at some point we're gonna have a final plan of
Right.
the way things are gonna look, and we'll bring that, but certainly be bringing that back to the commission.
Okay, sounds good. Fuel flowage fees.
I know Scott's met with Matt a couple of times. I don't know that we were at a point to try to make any decisions right now, but the conversation is ongoing about having a retail surcharge. Because that is something that is not in existence right now. And that would, in terms of our base rents and fuel flowage fees, keeps both the university and Jet Air on the same page from that end. But it does, could potentially boost our incomes and provide us funding for signage or frontage improvements or other hangar door improvements or taxiway repairs, carpets for the terminal building. We definitely have things we can spend money on.
This would be
And-
like how much per gallon?
Right now, the conversation's floating around 10 cents. I don't want to really get into the negotiation side and make Matt negotiate in front of the public, but
Right.
Yeah.
Around 2 cents.
about 50%. No, it's something around 10 cents a gallon is what the conversation is at this point.
Okay,
And, trying to
So,
do it in a
waiting.
way that, everybody can live with.
okay. Events coming up, anything?
Nothing on the calendar for the rest of the year. I think I'll have to go back to look at my emails. I believe the car club that has used the closed runway has already emailed me their proposed dates for next year. Kind of the same, like event every couple of months, 3 events again. But hoping to return kind of to a more standardized, typical summer where we have Young Eagles in June, maybe an open house or something during the summer to just draw people out here and refresh everybody on what's going on at the airport. And then we've got the pancake breakfast in August. And as air shows start popping back up again and
See
running,
how it goes.
we'll hopefully have some, traveling through airplanes.
Okay, thank you. Jet Air. Flight training.
I've got our reports. Going to just take one and pass around. I printed them off last week and was here ready to go, and then I called Mike at like 6:55. I'm like, where is everybody? So I haven't looked at them since that time, but let's see here. We've had, seems like it's a windy time of year, so I know we get into a lot more trash along Riverside Drive, popping up along the fence area. They did some fence repairs. There's behind the shop, there's a slope down, and then along the one edge, there's basically a railing that goes along there that's rusted out and different things over the years. And so one of our staff members was able to get that welded back up and secured and strengthened, which is good. That's needed done for years, so I'm glad that that's done. Other than that, there's nothing that's monumental, just filters. As far as dead air stuff goes, we're working on obviously wrapping up the end of the year. It's kind of a fun time of the year for us. We have our employee Christmas party every beginning of December. We have all employees from all 3 locations meet down in Burlington, which is one of our locations, at the Fun City Fun City and Catfish Bend Casino place, whatever. So we do like a profit sharing and just a bunch of stuff to kind of get everybody ready and going for another year. So we got that coming up. Flight training has been very busy. I mean, everything seems to be plugging along pretty good on flight training. Charter flying has been busy. That's kind of an industry wide. The conference I went to last week, actually 2 weeks ago now, there's a lot of companies that have seen an increase in demand. These are people that we fly for, and they've all pretty much oversold themselves, it seems like. So they're all going a little bit crazy and in kind of a frenzy to buy airplanes for their fleets and different things like that. And so we're seeing a lot of the same issues that everyone else is in terms of cars and stuff like that to buy up. Our biggest concern right now is twofold. One is the fuel prices obviously are going up, which is a big portion of essentially all of our operations. And then the other thing is the supply chain has been really hard on a lot of folks for getting tires and things like that. Some operators are starting to park airplanes because they don't have tires to be able to put on to fly. And so one of the operators at my table, he has a specific type of jet. They have a whole bunch of them, which we have a whole bunch of a different type of jet. And he'd already parked 2 airplanes and was getting ready to park a third because they couldn't get tires. The tires were worn out, and they're on a list to try to get tires to keep flying, So it's going to be interesting to see. I know there's avionics suppliers are having a hard time getting supplies and stuff like that. So really interesting to see what happens over the next couple of months as those things kind of catch up with everybody. Everybody's used to having very full shelves, and now they're trying to operate in a different way with relatively unreliable delivery systems. So it's going to be a new and interesting challenge, but business is good. I mean, if you have the supplies you need, you can go like crazy. So that part's not bad, but we've been really thankful for the second Jet A tank that's out there. That was the grant project, because deliveries have been hard to get for fuel and things like that. Especially now over the holidays, it used to be no matter what happened, we could order it and have a load within a day or two. Now they're telling us, hey, you need to order a load. We need your Thanksgiving orders now, to get through the Thanksgiving week and stuff. So anyway, it's just a different world, but no, things are going well.
And you're changing over the, let's see, more of the planes so that they have the option of whether they want the electronic or the old way of.
The steam gauge, yeah. Which Warren, I don't know how much of people actually, does anybody ever use the steam gauges if they have the choice
If they have the choice, no. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
695 Sierra Papa, which is one of our 172s, the first one that got the new glass panel. That's the only airplane people wanted to fly.
Yeah, I mean, it flew 100 hours in less than 6 weeks. I mean, which is a ton. So we've got two that are upgraded and a third one that's in process to upgrade. And that's another thing. Our supplier for a lot of those components told us this week that, oh yeah, by the way, the stuff you have on order will now not be here till at least May. So it's like, oh, okay. So we'll be stopping that after we finish this project for a while. But yeah, so the training has gone good. We actually purchased another airplane, a Cirrus, we're not sure exactly what we're doing with it yet. It'll be probably for training or leasing. It's a different type of trainer and it has a built-in parachute, if like for an emergency. So people like it from that standpoint, but also they're just kind of a different feel and different, but it was delivered to us from, it was in Nigeria. So it's flown from Nigeria up through Austria and all the way around through Ireland, Iceland, Greenland, Canada, down. So that got delivered to us last week. And then it's gonna take us a while to finish up all the paperwork and stuff, but it'll be hopefully on a rental line within the next couple months, probably. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it on our side.
Okay. Thank
I
you.
know now that you're getting away from the G1000s and doing the other avionics.
Yeah.
A couple of comments have trickled my way about getting a panel for the simulator for your new avionics.
Yeah, do they
have
Redbird-
one?
I don't know that Redbird makes those.
I doubt
I doubt it.
I've looked at it and
Yeah.
I don't, yeah.
The G1000, it's different, but it's not far off. I mean, obviously it doesn't replicate exactly what those planes have.
Yeah, that's the thing anymore is everything is retrofitted. So, so really, I mean, it's gonna be really interesting to see how they do simulators and things because there is no standard anymore.
Yeah.
There is sort of.
I mean, there's a general design standard, but now there's
Too many options.
dozens of different companies that just enough different processes and button pushing.
Mhm, yeah.
You
Oh,
do.
yeah, the button pushing is completely different from the G1000.
But in general, I mean, I think a lot of it has made huge leaps towards safety too.
Oh,
though. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
we have so much more information at our fingertips. It's so much more easily accessible and intuitive than we've ever had, in terms of being able to see other airplanes and traffic and see obstacles. And we have synthetic vision, so you can, like on your screen, you can see where the runway is. So if you're in the clouds, you can still see where the runway is. It's cheating, really.
The radio towers and monstrous things in front of you.
Exactly, yeah, and it'll pop up with traffic and it'll show up on your screen in a big bold
You see a
thing,
big white diamond moving across this.
Yeah, I mean, it's really incredible. I mean, it's,
Sounds neat.
yeah,
Pretty neat.
Need to get up and fly in one of those.
exactly, yeah,
Say the word, I'll call you.
yeah,
Okay.
very good.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys, yeah.
Commission member reports. Anybody have something specific to say?
Nope.
I have something.
Okay.
Next meeting is when?
December
December
9th.
I'm having a procedure tomorrow morning. and
Okay.
That's why I was kind of late because I was
Okay.
supposed to leave work at noon and do all the paperwork for my procedure tomorrow after that, but I didn't leave work on time. And my parents have been going through a lot of medical issues, my grandma too. So last week I told you that I had to drove
Yep.
emergency, like in the middle of my work day to Indiana. So I don't know what's
Okay.
going to look like for me December.
Okay.
As far as I know, Scott and Chris are both okay for the 9th.
I'm okay with it.
And I'll be here.
So we'll have a quorum. I mean, if you do need to take off, let me know.
I will. As soon as I do that.
The primary issue with this one is now that we've got a public hearing that we're going to publish for this date, I do need to do our best to
Make sure
stick
you
to
have enough
that.
people.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, I'm done.
Okay, this, Dick Bloom gave this to me. A friend, anyway, he used to fly, I don't know if you remember Dick Bloom. Anyway, he thought that you might want to have one of these at the airport for historical. It's apparently, it used to be that cars, like now they have the lights on them or whatever. If a car goes out onto the runway area, they used to have these flags that you had to have
Construction equipment will still have
There's
it.
still in
Yeah.
the plans
Yeah.
and specs, there's.
to things like that. So anyway, so he doesn't need his anymore. He does't fly anymore. He's,
We put one of those
Anyway.
on the roll bar if you will.
well, and he was wondering if we wanted it for, you know, where we have some historic stuff sitting around.
I mean,
Wanted to have it
it's,
someplace.
other than the fact that it's his and he's probably had it for 30 years, it's not really historic.
It's,
It's a
the
construction flag.
It's standard? Is that what you're saying? It's like a standard use?
It's a standard
It's a
construction
standard,
flag.
okay.
Like, it's not unique. They're
yeah,
everywhere. It's certainly not unique to Iowa City.
but
But
didn't know if you
we
wanted
can-
it someplace.
I mean, we can take it and at least we got a spare
Okay,
if we ever need it.
he didn't want to throw it out and suggested that maybe
I say
some,
it's historic because he's the one who had it.
Like I said, he's probably had that for 30 years. so
yes,
That's why.
or more. Or more. Yeah,
There you
he
go.
doesn't-
But yeah.
So anyway,
um,
so that's donated to the airport for whatever.
Yeah, we-
Okay,
we'll
staff-
happily take it and
Do something. with
do
it.
something with it.
Staff report.
I'm gonna be out of the office tomorrow. I think I've decided that just with stuff going on. I'm also leaning towards doing my typical week off between Christmas and New Year's. Usually not a lot of movement on stuff anyway, because a lot of other people take those days off. It seems like we slow down quite a bit over the holiday break. Beyond that, I don't have anything else.
Okay, then next meeting is December 9th. And we will have you'll come up with a date or for the bid? Or-
Yeah, that's all part of that publication. So,
Okay, the publication.
yep.
right. Okay,
yep, that's all part of yeah.
okay. So we don't have anything else to do?
I mean, we adjourn.
Okay,
I second.
I approve. Let's
All in
do it.
favor?
All in favor, aye. We got
Aye.
it.
I'm so sorry again.
No, that's,
Not okay,
we
but
forgive
thank
you.
you.
some things come up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Good luck next.